want to lose. I want to win.
I need professional help.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sports Betting Weekly, sponsored by EasySportsData.com. The books use data, shouldn't you too? And this is Easy Sports Data, like the preschoolers use. EasySportsData.com.
I win here and I win there. Now what?
Sports Betting Weekly.
I want to win.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Money talk. Here comes the money.
You should also check out SportsBettingLessons.com. You'll learn some old tricks because sometimes how you bet is more important than who you bet. SportsBettingLessons.com.
Let's just do it. Let's meet this thing head on. And you were in it to win it. Talk about an education.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Wow, winning.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Welcome to Sports Betting Weekly. I am second half Chaz. I'm joined by John and Wes as always. And we only have two games to talk about, so we're going to hop right into live action. But let me get the banners up because I always forget to get the banners up. There's John's Instagram. There's Wes on Twitter. There's Play Like the Public and the hashtags for Bitly link. All right, so we're going live. We have John, talk about basketball.
Yeah, so we're going to jump on. This is actually coming on in about 2 minutes, so people have an opportunity to jump on it if they're watching right now. We're going to take the under 125, Loyola, Chicago, and Southern Illinois. This is the team that actually just played a couple of days ago. The total combined was 106. Both play relatively slow-paced basketball, especially Southern Illinois, who's been struggling to score lately. They don't shoot a lot of threes, so I feel pretty confident in a team that's basically running a back-to-back. I think the defenses will be even more tighter. They're going to make adjustments, so we are on the under in that game.
All right, so it is not showing up in my live action. So if you're live,
Yep.
it's like right before 8 o'clock in New York City. You're live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Hop on and get that in because, as you know, live action is great, but then, John, it'll sometimes hesitate there when the game first starts, right?
Oh yeah. It'll sometimes the line won't even move depending, for the first couple minutes, depending on, which way the action is going. And also depending the game, certain books might just not even change the line or have any active, revolving totals or anything like that. So it all depends. Yep.
It's always the game I want too.
Exactly. It never fails.
The game I want on this side of the board. Wes, what about hockey live action?
So there's two of them. One of them you got a few minutes because we're in between periods. One of them we got to get on right away. But I'm looking at the Blues versus Calgary. The last time these two teams played, Calgary put it on them 7-1. And the Blues are a better team than that. They caught the Blues with a little some injury stuff going on, but they also caught them on game 2 of a road. And now the Blues are going to catch them in the same scenario. The Blues are rested. Calgary is on game 2 of a road, and they've switched the goalie to the lesser of the quality goalies that they have on the roster. So our play on this Blues is over half a goal for the first period. It's between minus 190 and minus 205, depending on where you get it. Don't focus on the odds. Just focus on the cash. The Blues are scoring a goal in the first period.
And again, if you hop on that right now, you could still probably get it before it goes live action, because we saw goals in the first 2 minutes. Before the live action opens, it's 1-0. You're in trouble if you were waiting for that one.
Yeah. The other one we all are on is the Carolina Hurricanes. We don't see them at a 2.5 point team total very often. Most of their games start at 3.5. They may flirt with us and give us, a minus 105 or, something like that. But it's over 2.5 and it's minus 145, which is about as good as it's going to get. We've seen this team score 5 goals in a period. They're averaging 4 goals a game. So, in my opinion, this is the best team in hockey.
One. Aren't they number 1?
They're number 2 in goals scored. They're number 1 in power play. They're number 1 or 2 in goals allowed. Like Rod Brindamore, what a coach! And I mean, they're
who's
deep.
Number 1 then? If they're number 2, is it
Colorado is number 1, I believe, as far as goals scored.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so we got our play in. We will watch those as we go too, and that's the beauty of it. Really, is what I had a situation the other day where I was wrong, but I made money on the game, and it's really pretty weird thing when you start rooting for Team A, and by the end you're rooting for everybody because you switch to the over, whatever the case may be. But that Marquette was nice because they were getting a handful of points and they were up. I thought it was a mistake. I actually had to log out because I was on my phone and log out of my book, log into ESPN. I didn't want to open another tab. It was just faster to push the buttons. Okay, no, it's not a mistake, because usually, you're on the back when the team goes up 15 early. You're usually on the back end of that. You're not on the front end. That's just sports betting in particular. All right, so let's recap last week. So, John, this is the second year in a row you've mentioned the steak dinner, and you had not mentioned it, even though we've talked the years before that. You had not mentioned it. So, do you do it every year?
We don't do it every year. This is kind of just a friendly wager between me and my brother-in-law that we have ongoing now. And let me tell you, the last game, even though it was a great game to watch and the emotional roller coaster, I'm getting tired of buying this guy steak dinners. Let me tell you, because every year I'm on Buffalo,
and is it a specific game, or is it just when you guys decide to do it?
It's for Buffalo and KC, and we've been fortunate enough to have the last 2 years this matchup going. Yeah. So that's what it is, and it's not my dislike for Kansas City. I like the Chiefs. I love Patrick Mahomes, but I really thought that Buffalo had that game. I'm gonna root for my hometown New York team, the upstate New York team every time, and I think that Buffalo was probably going to be their closest competition to beat them.
I'm telling you right now, it's just my opinion. But unless something really bizarre happens with a career-ending injury, you and your brother-in-law are gonna have a few more bets, right?
Oh yeah. One of these years, I'm hoping I can actually eat some steak. Yeah. But we'll see.
If you ever make it to Kansas City, I know your current hometown Raiders are in Vegas. Yeah. If you ever make it to Kansas City for a game, I will take you for some steak. And it's the KC hospitality. You'll experience it top to bottom.
Oh, yeah, plus it really is, John. Because you've lived past the mountains. Yep. The meat is different in the middle of the country.
Oh yeah,
It's just different meat. It's better meat.
Different.
My son's fiance is from Brazil, so Chaz West. What happened is we took him, and he spent last year about 5 months in Brazil, and they eat barbecue for lunch. Yeah. Here we eat barbecue, we go to sleep.
Well, it's a different culture. I mean, the culture of barbecuing in South America and the grass-fed beef, and God, I feel like I'm about to talk. We should be on another show where I'm about to go with it.
A food podcast kicked in. Let's talk about missing that game. Let's talk about missing that game. I mean, if you're going to skip a game, first of all, that game has to have a name already. Aren't they calling it something? I don't know. I didn't pay attention. If I said to you, you were at the 13-second game, would that's something they would say, right?
That sounds pretty accurate. I think most people, if you're a fan of football, you would be able to pick that up.
You would call that the 13-second game if it had a name, and you didn't go to it.
Yeah,
I didn't go to it, and
but
I will say that
there were some zeros involved, right?
Well, I'm at peace with it because it's I am not from Kansas City. I've had season tickets for 7 years, and I jumped on the last 2 years of Alex Smith, and I caught a better season ticket price than most that are trying to buy right now. So I've been allowed to be a part of a lot of really special Kansas City Chiefs moments.
If you think about every single year that the dude started in the NFL.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, the last NFC or that last 2 years ago, the AFC Championship game.
They got one in Carolina.
There we go. There we go.
That was quick.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was one of the many fans holding a flag on the field for the anthem at the Tennessee AFC Championship game. Yeah. So it's. When you put things in perspective, no, I have no regrets. Somebody got my tickets, paid me really well to get them. And that
Yeah.
fan deserves every bit of that KC experience. And I know my seat neighbors, and I'm hoping that it was a Bills fan that bought the tickets because they probably got all the business that came with it.
Brutal.
However, if you were a Bills fan, you were crowing for a little bit there because that was just a very, very impressive last touchdown drive that he led. Very impressive.
Well, let me tell you, me and my brother, though, we were watching that game. We were actually at a bar, and I was circling the wagon. I was running around the bar, thinking that game was over. I thought there's no way, 13 seconds. I did not think that was even humanly possible in the realm of Patrick Mahomes. And
you could have a lot of steak dinners with your brother-in-law before you see a game where a guy.
Oh, you're like that. Yeah, that was one for the books. One of the best games I can recall watching in a real long time. That at least, if you're going to mention one that pops up into your head, that would be one that I'm going to put right up at the top. So great game. Yeah.
All right. So what else did we talk about last week that I wanted to bring back up? The Fairgrounds card last Saturday. Did you hop on it?
I did, and I did well. I cashed. I was only on 6 races, and I cashed 5 out of the 6. So it was. I don't know that I saw any Derby winners or even.
What were the tickets though? Were they win bets, straight bets?
I hit 2 Quinellas or exactas. When you box them, I call it a Quinella. It doesn't matter.
Well, but no, Quinella, it doesn't matter. Exacta, it has to be exact.
Yeah, but when you box the exacta, it becomes a Quinella, right?
You're absolutely right. Just more expensive.
Yeah. So I hit 2 of those. I hit a win place show on it was 6 or 7 to 1, and I for the most part I start my day with show bets. I start my day with just entry level single unit show bets, and I dip my feet into the water. So
that's
a cash the tickets.
That's a great segue for Saturday's card because, as you know, it is our annual Betaway weekend. Christina, actually, when she worked for me, named that. So if Christina's out there, thank you. It's the Betaway weekend where we go to Las Vegas and we get away, but we bet. So it's a Betaway weekend. It's just brilliant if you think about it. We're looking forward to it. But so I've got some things. But Pegasus Stakes is Saturday, and I get to pick up a racing form on Friday, and I got to go to the airport early, and I'm going to find a little corner with a drink and read the racing form. I got to.
Yep.
Wes, when there's 12 races on a card, and it's a good card, that's hours. That's not even, that's hours. You're talking hours. But here's what we got. We got 6 races, just like you mentioned. From the 7th race to the 12th race, the 7th starts at 11:30 in the morning, our time. It goes until the Pegasus World Cup Invitational Stakes, which really they may think of changing the name as many invitations as they had to send out this year, right? I think they had to send out like 3 different invitations to get a full card. 6 races, $5 million and 50,000. So 5
nice purse.
50, comma 0
nice
0.
Purse.
And that's in 6 races, $5 million in purses. The last 2 are $1 million and $3 million. So John, you're going to be showing up right around there, right?
Oh yeah. I plan to be
they
there
start
right around
at 8:30, and that's what Wes is talking about. You got a 50, a 60, a 61, a 60. Then you got a 150 and then a 70. So those are perfect races because you know what that show, and then you can actually do a show pool too, right?
Yep.
You do a show pool where you say, you know what? I'm not even going to have the guy cash the ticket. I'm just giving him the ticket back. Just keep going.
Just keep that.
But it allows you to watch the track and see what the track's doing without really getting too what's the word I'm involved? Too financially invested. Because if you're wrong, and John, we talked about it last week on reading the board right. You're seeing the board right. It's the same thing with reading the paper. If you're reading the paper right, you know right away. If you're reading the paper wrong and you start strong, you lose half your bankroll by the time the big races are there. And now you're sure enough, as we know, when you run out of money, that's the race you were right on. And you can have $20 exacta boxes all day long. You finally hit one, it's because you got no money left. It's $1 exacta box. But yeah, so that is my plan. I am going to It's the first race is at 8:30. I'll probably be up at 8:30 because we fly in late, and I work all day Friday, and so I put in a full day, and then I'm reading for 3 hours. So I'll usually crash, get up, and finish reading, but I'm not usually going to an airport. I'm usually sitting in my house by the fireplace. So what I'm going to do is, because Breeders' Cup really is the last time I've done this. I don't bet the ponies unless it's a special day because there's just so much garbage. It's hard for me to get rocking and rolling when there's a good race and then there's a race that it's like, oh my God, these horses should be on farms somewhere playing with kids.
Do they
Doing
actually
pony rides?
I'm sorry, it took me a little bit, but do they actually install fireplaces in SoCal?
Yes, I actually have one that takes wood and gas, so I don't need wood, but I like wood. All right, so Ottawa tied it up, which is good for your team total over.
That's right.
Yeah, it sure is. They got to keep going. If they're going to win, the least they could put up is 2.
Right. The last game on the board last night went into overtime. It was the team we mentioned, right? It was Colorado. Does that overtime goal count when they're 4-on-4?
So the overtime goal counts if they get the shot in. It does count on the team total. Where it doesn't count is if it goes into a shootout. When you actually look at the stat sheet, it'll show like if it goes into overtime at 2-2 and it goes to a shootout and a team ends up winning, it'll show the next day 3-2, but that does not count as a goal. It just counts as a dub.
That's like soccer. That's like soccer with the aftertime.
You'll get the money line in a shootout, but the goal doesn't count as an over.
Right. Yeah. All right. So So what else did we talk about that I wanted to get back to? Being alone. Oh, Gulfstream. So did you play Gulfstream at all last weekend?
I was on the Fairgrounds card, so I didn't mess with Gulfstream. I just Fairgrounds was a card that caught my attention, and it treated me well. So I didn't really even look at Florida.
Well, the reason I ask is, as you know, if you got the racing form and it's the full form, I don't know, it's got a bazillion tracks in there, but it's got the main California, whoever's running in California, in New York, Kentucky, Florida, that kind of thing. And what I'll do is I'll peruse, even that's not the card I'm looking, I will peruse for a race where either A, it's, somebody I know, which probably isn't at this time of year. That could happen once we get through to the March and the horses, the babies start running. Then I start paying attention every week. But until then, or if just a high quality race, $1 million race that's just jumping out almost always has a $400,000 or $500,000 race tied to it. Either 2 behind it or 1 behind it. So I'll look to string those across because for me it always has been easier finding the quality. And the reason I think it works is I'm betting horses that are being treated real well because they're winning a lot of money. These horses, you see how many dollars they have in their career earnings, and the odds are the best. The higher the amount of horses, the better odds you get. And that's when I catch like the superfecta that I caught Breeders' Cup for 1,800 to 1 or whatever it was, because of the fact that the horse was 12 to 1 as most ever, and they let him go off 35 to 1. Well, yeah, because there's so many other horses to bet, but I'm not betting them to win. I'm just betting them to be there. And that's why I like show pools, because I'm just betting the horse. Who's the horse that I know at the end of the race is going to be near the photo? That's the horse I want my show money on. So,
well, and some of those you could play the riders too. I mean, it wasn't one of my finer moments. I didn't like the jockey. You remember my?
Well, yeah. He had 4 winners in a row or something.
Well, what's funny is it was Tyler Gaffleone, and I will never disrespect the man again. He went on in 2021. I was just looking at this the other day. He was the number 6 jockey as far as earnings at $19 million for 2021, and I didn't want to bet the horse because I didn't like the rider, and that's who he became.
Well, remember, I had that Jessica girl out here at Santa Anita. I told you guys about that. The 50 to 1, she wired the field. I mean, I'm watching a 50 to 1 lead. And so I'm going to say it must have been a 7 furlong race, because I don't think they went around. I think they started over here and they came this way. So a 50 to 1 lead on the back stretch of a 7 furlong. It's not that uncommon. All of a sudden, they're going into the turn, and she's still leading. All of a sudden, they're around the turn. Now they're coming from home, and she's got a length lead, and I got her across the board, and I got her in exactas and trifectas, and she's 50-1, and she came right on home. And so, yeah, jockeys are important. You know what? They can lose a race for you, but they could definitely win a race for you. No doubt about it. All right, so we're going to take a break, and when we get back, what we're going to do, I think what we're going to do is we're going to talk some football. I think we should start talking some football. You're listening to Sports Betting Weekly on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, the Sports Betting Channel, and always our last show at sportsbettingweeklylive.com.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
At championshipfootballs.com, they offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that they sell. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that already has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots fan or an Ohio State Buckeyes backer. Maybe Gramps is a lifelong New York Giants supporter. Or your brother-in-law is a 12th man living in Seattle. Know a member of the Michigan State Alumni Association? Is there a better Father's Day gift for someone who's a Baltimore Ravens fan? Send them the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Now, if your favorite pro team is the Buffalo Bills or those Minnesota Vikings, well, they're sorry about that. Also, if you're a New Mexico State Aggies or Tulane Green Wave alumnus, not much they can do. After all, the name isn't nice effort, you had a pretty good season, footballs.com. The name is championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hey, this is an important message. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. Sports betting is supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. If you're hurting yourself by gambling with money you don't have, check out our website for the Gamblers Anonymous phone number.
When Vince Young scored on 4th and 5 in the 2006 Rose Bowl, two things happened. The Texas Longhorns won the NCAA title, and ChampionshipFootballs.com was born. From Texas to Alabama to Ohio State, and now for Super Bowl winners too. ChampionshipFootballs.com is the place for the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Now, 10 years later, ChampionshipFootballs.com has the autographs too. See if any of these names remind you of a special time in your football life. Michael Bennett, Lou Holtz, Joe Montana, Devin Smith, Jameis Winston, Rocky Blyer, Rocket Ishmael, Ara Parsegian, Mike Stonebreaker, Chris Zorich, Luther Bradley, Todd Light, Tony Rice, Lawrence Taylor, Dave Casper, Marcus Mariota, Rudy Rudiger, David Tyree. Enter the promo code RADIO and you'll instantly save $50 on any of the ChampionshipFootballs.com autographed footballs. ChampionshipFootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Chicken dinner.
Welcome back to Sports Betting Weekly on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Belly Up Sports Podcast, sportsbettingweeklylive.com, and the Sports Betting Channel. Now, the way it works here is we have our segment, then we have our first spots, the commercials after the segment, but we consider anything that happens during that commercial break to be part of the first segment. So you guys not only cashed the hockey ticket before the first segment ended, but listen to this score. 6 minutes gone in the first half. Loyola Chicago has 2 in 6 minutes. Southern Illinois has 2 in 6 minutes.
Yeah,
right now,
that's
Covers is saying the final score will be a total of 26 points.
That sounds pretty accurate.
Chaz, you said it last week, and somebody texted me, one of the members, and they said with the quotes, all you got to do is watch the show, do what you're told, and you're gonna make money. That should be like the tagline for the show.
Yeah, and again, especially if you have a significant other, because they're telling you what to do anyway. And really, isn't it easy to just do it? Think about it. I got to, even with my kids now, I love my kids. I really do. Chaz is a great kid. Yeah, and John, you'll hang with him this weekend, and him and his buddy Renee. You'll have a handful of guys there, and anytime you can get a handful of guys and nobody dies, I'm happy with that.
But did you die?
You get together with people, and a week later, 2 of them died. It's just a world with this COVID. But no, it is it's a lot of fun. But the bottom line is when you have people that you're gambling with, it's better than when you're gambling alone. It's really that simple, no doubt about it. So. All right, so what else? Where are we at? Oh yeah, we're going to talk some football. Now, as you know, and John, you remember this because I had these bets the last time. So it's been 2 years, but I think it was even longer than when was the Rams? Was the Rams 3 years ago when we saw that Rams debacle when they got the penalty? No call on that defensive
penalty. Yeah, it was the Rams Saints there. Yep.
That was 2 or 3 years ago now.
I think that was 3 years. Yeah, that was 3 years. Yeah. Yep.
So what I do is I bet the first player to score. I sell footballs for a living. I really don't care who wins. What I do is I usually root for the person who I'm going to sell the most footballs for. That's really what it comes down to. Now, so Wes, you're a great marketing subject because you have one of the championship footballs from the previous second. That was their second Super Bowl championship. Would you get another one if they won again? Would you buy another one?
Yeah, it is a great product. I mean, it's got the score for the game. It's got the logo. It's a nice looking ball. It was in my living room for a while. I mean, it is a good looking thing to have. It's in my office now at work, and almost everybody that walks into the office grabs it and looks at it and has a conversation about where they were that day.
Kansas City, but the Rams. It's been a long time for the Rams. It's been a long time for San Francisco. San Francisco, they had just like Kansas City. They had a group of children that grew up not knowing, not like the San Diego kids. The San Diego kids that grew up Chargers fans had a totally different existence than the San Francisco kids that grew up San Francisco fans back in the day. Kansas City people are going through that now. They're going through that. You're going to have kids that are teenagers. They're going to be playing midget football, and they've never seen a bad team in their life. All right, so I saw that score. John, could you give us an update because they haven't scored again?
Yeah, I'm watching hockey right now, so I'm not keeping an eye on that one. But yeah, I would imagine it's going to stay relatively
on our underplay.
I have hockey on the screen. I'll find the score. I'll find it.
I'm going to go. I'll just go to the live action and see what it is now.
There you go. Yeah.
I'll see what the over-unders. What do we have, 58.5?
Yes.
That was 58.5 for the first half and then 125 for the game. So
58.5 for the first half. It's 4-4.
Oh, they scored.
The first half. It's 4-4.
Well, that's almost like a hockey score. Yeah.
This would have been even better than Wes, this would have been even better than your stock.
I mean, you talk about shorting a team.
Holy
yeah. You should have took an alt line under 20.
Exactly. It's live. Wow, that's crazy. All right, so let's talk about going to Las Vegas.
Viva!
By the Rio where Johnny lives, and Johnny will be there too. It's pretty cool. I know a few people to live there. I got a few people coming with me. We're gonna have a good time. But he lives by the Rio, and they have that Mai Tai place.
Yeah.
What's it called? Do you remember?
That's the tiki, tiki, golden tiki, something like that.
Tiki.
Something like that. Somewhere.
Black Hole Plus. Let me tell you. What an environment! It's a tiki bar, and tiki bars with it in a strip mall. But the Mai Tais are phenomenal, and the interior decorator is just insane. They got shrunken heads everywhere. It's just really
they got it everywhere. Cool. Yeah, it's a pretty cool spot.
It's like half price at happy hour or something, and it's a pretty good Mai Tai. You can't drink too many of them actually. What about sushi? Do you eat sushi, John?
I don't. I actually don't eat seafood at all. So I am strictly a meat person.
You could ask around and between now and Saturday, see if you can come up with a sushi referral for me.
I got you. Yep.
Do that. And then what's the last one I was thinking about? Oh, dispensaries.
Yes.
I talked to
all over the place
from the Green dispensary. Somewhere
Okay.
it's somewhere in Las Vegas, and
All right.
the Planet 13 was the other one.
Yeah, Planet 13 is kind of the new big extravagant, they have interactive kind of games that you can play and also, do your shopping. But there's probably where you guys are going to be at, there's probably about 2 or 3 that are within walking distance. There will be no shortage of that on the strip whatsoever. And especially when you get a little bit off the strip. No worries. Yep.
Perfect. Good to know. All right, so let's
Yep.
talk about this first game, which I think we should start with the guy who's going to be at the game.
You rang?
Yeah, well, you're going to be there. I would have think that you would
So
you would have some opinions.
yeah, I do. And what I'll say about the game, I and you guys, back me up here. I'm pretty straightforward about what I think the Chiefs will and won't do. I've been pretty hard on them when they're not covering spreads, and I'm not the guy that says rah rah, yeah, they'll do it. So the spread is 7, and I watched and listened to the show last night, and that you were on, Chaz, and everybody's scared of the 7 points. What I will say about the game is I dug up some numbers. And if you take the Super Bowls out of the equation and you look at the Chiefs and what they've done in the last, just in the last 3 years worth of playoff runs, look at the second quarter. They're averaging 17 points in the second quarter over their last, just in between the last 3 seasons when they won the Super Bowl in Tampa and last year when they lost it. The Super Bowls themselves, they only scored 3 points in the second quarter. But the games that the Chiefs actually don't put up a big second quarter, or they don't score first. The Chiefs typically let the other team score first. That's even more interesting. If you're looking at live action, the other team scores first. The Chiefs win the game. There has only been 3 games where the other team scored first in the last 3 seasons of the Chiefs playoff run. The Browns, they smoked them. They ended up smoking the Browns. But then Tampa and New England, the Chiefs actually scored first in those games and ended up losing. But look, I'm looking at second quarters. I'm looking at the teams to kind of feel each other out. Maybe a 7-7 first quarter, maybe a 3-3 or a 7-3, something around there. But I'm looking at the Chiefs' second quarter. Right now, it's over 16.5. So statistics show that the Chiefs are going to put up 17 in the second quarter. You got to think Joey Burrow is going to, even though he thinks that the SEC is louder than Arrowhead, you got to think that he's going to put up some type of points in the second quarter. So my play on this game is over 16.5 for the second quarter. And if you're watching it live, I'm probably going to beat Bovada by about 15 seconds. One would think that if it's a competitive first quarter, that second quarter is going to drop to say 14.5, 15.5, and you may be able to catch some odds. But my play right now in the game, I'm not looking at the 7, although I think the Chiefs will win and cover the 7. My actual investment is going to be over 16.5 for the second quarter because the statistics show that the Chiefs do that on their own.
Well, here's the thing with when you do I do the spreadsheet for the first touchdown. And the way I do it is I take all 4 teams and I say, okay, who was their top 2 rushers and who were their best receivers and what did they have for the year? Then I start going backwards. Do you realize in the last 3 games, the last week of the season, the wild card game and the division game, Cincinnati's only scored 5 touchdowns in 3 games. Mahomes did that last week alone. Of course, I don't know what he was, but he was the first one, right? Mahomes scored the first touchdown of the game for the Chiefs. Did he last week?
Yep.
He did.
Yeah, he put it in the pylon. Yep.
Yeah, so I do both. What I do is I do first player to score for the game, and I also have them both first player to score for their team. And so if I catch the first one, I catch them both.
Yep.
So we'll see. And then there's the anytime touchdowns. The anytime touchdowns, when you got the Chiefs, you could do a 3-team parlay. Does your website let you do a 3-team parlay on anytime touchdowns?
Yeah, it's a prop. It's a prop builder. You have to build it as props. And the one I'll throw out there, if we're talking about anytime scorers, Mecole Hardman is plus 500 depending on where you look. Hardman gets a lot of touches. The Chiefs are not giving looks to Robinson very much anymore. Josh Gordon is not really a part of this starting lineup. Hardman's getting a lot of touches in odd spots, and so there's value there.
Well, what I look at, I also look at, and then we'll ask John what his opinions are. I look at who are they going to try to stop? So, like Kelsey, yeah, anytime touchdown, yes. But I'm probably not going to pick Kelsey for the first down touchdown because he's going to be double covered. So who's going to be left open, that kind of thing. Now, Hill's a whole nother story. But Hill could score from the bathroom.
He can score from anywhere, anytime.
But listen, here's my scenario. Bad punt, shaked out of bounds, rolls into the tent where Hill was in there just changing his pants or something. He can throw the length of the field there because he shoots so damn fast. John, this we probably won't we won't be watching a game together. We're going to see you Saturday. Where are you going to watch a game Sunday? Home?
I might be at home. We haven't really made any plans for that Sunday yet. I'll kind of wait and see what the deal is for that Sunday. But
Super Bowl crazy, but that's why we go. Our flights are cheaper, our rooms are cheaper, there's less people, but
a little bit less.
Day, if you're going to plan to go somewhere, if you don't have somebody saving you a seat, you got to go. You got to
you got to, wherever you plan on going, you got to get there a little bit ahead of time. You got to, kind of man your section and kind of guard your spots and sort of speak, because even the same thing throughout the weekend. It's crazy. It's the NFL. We all know how the NFL is, and it's Vegas. So,
and that's the one downside about having a larger group is that, you kind of, but it's also a good thing because you separate ways. Like some of my buddies, I know where to find them. They're at the poker room or they're at the
you almost gotta send a couple people, say go hold some spots, or you gotta do this. If you're a high roller, you don't have to worry about it. You already have a VIP section. But that's normally where you kind of designate that the few people the night before, say, hey, you gotta wake up and you gotta get those spots early in the morning.
All right, so let's talk about what you think is going to happen.
I'm not going to touch this game whatsoever as far as a spread wise. I'm going to wait. Same thing. I'm hoping that Kansas City gets down so I can, build off that 7. I won't touch the 7. I'll probably do the same, play some props, look for in-game opportunities. I think KC will win at home. Patrick Mahomes looked fantastic last week. The whole team, what a game. Even though we did have Cincinnati outright dog winner that we gave out on the show last week. If you guys listened, you guys cashed that ticket as well. Joe Burrow is phenomenal. It's going to be another good game. It's hard to go against the way KC is playing right now in the playoffs, the way Patrick Mahomes is playing in the playoffs. It's hard to go against them. So I'm going to, wait for opportunities. KC will win. I'm not sure about the cover.
Yeah, again, I'm going to be having the players to score. I'll probably snap those pictures of those tickets and put them out there. And that's my plan with the horses too, John, is, I what I look at is who do I think can win the race? And I try to narrow it down to 3 horses. Almost always I have to go 4. Sometimes I go 5. The problem is, Wes will tell you, with 5 is if you have 5 horse
it gets expensive.
Well, you're throwing away 47 of the 48 bets. 47 of them have to lose. You're going, what's your winning percentage? Well, it was 1 in 48 on that exacta box, but I won a lot of money. But that, that's what I'm looking at is I'm looking at getting my popping a superfecta and then making my once I hit that first superfecta, I'm going to make my bets. Because then
you can start rolling.
I don't have to worry about it. I got the tickets in my pocket, and my lines don't really change on first players to score.
But it gets you through the day, and it starts building your bankroll and gets you to the night games. So that's it.
I've had a few of these bets go until halftime, and it's a long ass halftime when you got the first player to score, and that ticket is still alive. But don't see that happening on this first game, do we?
Nope. No, I would imagine there's going to be some touchdowns scored in that first half, some way or another, with the way that Burrow is playing, with the way that Mahomes is playing. Mahomes is I have a love-hate relationship with the guy because obviously I'm gonna go back to I had to buy my brother-in-law 2 steak dinners for the
No,
last.
and again, if he's on the other side, if he's on the other side, it's
But
not a tough it's a tough
yeah,
spot to see it, but the respect
yeah.
is there. So Wes, let me ask
That phenomenal player. No, I'm not taking anything away from
oh,
Kansas
of
City.
course.
Not taking any away from Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, he's in a
4
league of his
years,
own right
4
now.
Well,
Yeah,
AFC
you're
championships, right?
yeah. So this is more
John,
of a friendly, just going back and forth for family. I'm not putting any amount of money on
Well,
this game. I'm
it's
whatsoever.
possible. It's
Yeah,
possible.
John, you're setting yourself up for a long decade of
Right.
sports if you
long
if betting
decade.
against Mahomes. Because I mean I until I moved to Kansas City, and I still I am a Bears first guy. I'm from Chicago. I bleed Chicago, and and I was not able to enjoy Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers' career. I spent in Aaron Rodgers' entire career hating the guy
Hating
because
him.
because he owns Soldier Field, and so if I could give you some brotherly advice,
Yeah.
don't bet
I'm not
against
gonna.
Mahomes.
I'm not.
It
I'm
just you're
not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do
probably
it.
I mean at minimum you're not going to have steak in your belly.
Well,
Oh, I know,
that's
right?
the thing. Well, that's the thing, guys. I would rather lose a bet to the house than lose to my brother-in-law.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
to
it's
my
brutal.
brother, to
I
my
got.
friend. I don't want, I
Oh,
want
and
to win that fight.
it's terrible. He brings all his jerseys. He's got all the Kansas City jerseys, and he's parading them around every year. And,
All right, so
then
here's
I got to hear about it. It's terrible.
Yeah, of course. Here's what I'm going to ask you. Okay, so if
Yeah.
you're smart enough to join the Chicago option traders, and you say that you appreciate the fact that all you got to do is listen and do what you're told, wouldn't that same person have not only bet the high odds on the minus or half a goal, but probably already would probably bet the 1.5 goals for St. Louis? Wouldn't you think?
Well, it was Moneyline St. Louis. So what I posted for the members was Moneyline St. Louis, and it was minus 130 before
I
the
thought it
game
was
started.
half a goal, you said.
Well, we got that. We cashed that in the first
And
period.
what I'm saying is, all right, so what you would have done is you bet
Yep.
it was minus 180. Say you bet 180, win 100.
Yep.
You would
So-
have thrown at least 20 on
So-
you got to
1.5.
throw. You got to throw
So
some
the-
lunch money on the 1.5. Yep.
The routine play there is if you're on the game, you cash 100, you go back in for 50, and because you secure the win, you secure the bag, and then you go back in for the over, or something else on the game. So you keep it going so that you can win as much as you can while still protecting the win.
Yep,
So
yep.
if you did that, you just cashed again because the Blues are up 2-1.
No doubt about it. And as we go to the basketball score, which they had a scoring run because now the final score projection is a total of 67.
Holy smokes!
13 all. 4 minutes to go in the first half, and my score's a little behind because I'm on the backside. All right, so let's do this. We're at a point in the show where I want to talk more about Las Vegas, and so you haven't been to the Strat in a long time, right?
It's been a while since I've been there. They redid it. They kind of revamped that area in Las Vegas. It was kind of, I don't want to say forgotten, but they kind of put that area off to the side a little bit in the whole kind of remodeling of the strip and whatnot. But they've started to put some attention, and Stratosphere has remodeled. They remodeled the outside area, cleaned it up a little bit, so to speak. So you definitely, I think we'll like it. It's definitely cleaned up a little bit.
Because when the last time I was there, I remember saying I blew my calling. I should have been the guy that sells the 4 lease signs to Vegas people to put in their businesses, because we went block after block after block. Because when you're with locals, you go off the beaten path. You're in neighborhoods. You're not necessarily.
Yep.
And so Johnny lives there. So we're driving around. It was literally 4 lease sign after 4 lease sign after 4 lease sign. It's tough to it was a tough environment, but that was right, pandemic world. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So the question is, where do you go by your house?
So
Is
we
that
got,
Red Rock?
I got, so Red Rock is about 10 minutes. It's a little bit farther away from the casino that I go to, which is about 3 minutes from my house, and their sister properties. They're owned by the same company, Station Casinos, giving Station a free plug.
There you go.
So they're all, yeah, it's almost identical book. They almost look the same. All the decor is almost the same. Red Rock is a little bit nicer because they're in the Summerlin area,
Yeah,
so a little bit more hoity-toity, so to speak, in that
Yeah.
area. But yeah, the one
And
I go
that's
to
where
is Santa
you and
Fe.
I and Johnny watched the games.
Yeah, that's where we watched the game. Exactly. That's where we watched that playoff game that one year. So great spot. Santa Fe is similar. Same decor, same sports books, same kind of restaurants and stuff like that. Not as fancy as Red Rock is. But yeah, that's my sort of little local hometown book right there. So
All right, so let's go to this next game with John because he keeps bashing San Francisco, I think, isn't he?
yeah, I actually been bashing both these teams. I bashed. No, well, one of them's got to give. They obviously heard me. I've been bashing San Francisco. I bashed the Rams. I didn't think, they were going to be able to make it, past Tampa Bay, and they both proved me wrong. So I'm in a predicament here, and I'm gonna keep bashing San Francisco and hope that I'm right. I'm gonna go with the Rams. And Stafford's been playing good. Looks like they got the running game going a little bit. Defense has been there. So let's go with the Rams. I'm predicting a Rams Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl.
Well, again, I mentioned the same thing I'm going to mention, John. I mentioned with Kansas City here in their last 4 games, San Francisco has scored 8 touchdowns. They scored 1 touchdown last week, and it wasn't even a guy you can bet, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can bet that at all.
He's in the others, all others.
They should have lost.
All others pays pretty nice though.
It was a big ugly. Some guy without a name.
Yeah. They should have lost that game. I'm not going to let up on San Francisco. Don't get me wrong. They're obviously here for a reason. They're a good team. But Aaron Rodgers and the whole offense or the play calling or whoever you want to hold responsible, let San Francisco stay in that game. That game should have been nowhere near where it was for them to even block the punt and for them to be ahead in that game. That should have never happened. So I blame Green Bay more for losing that game than I will give props for San Francisco winning that game. And all the San Francisco fans can come and taunt me and say whatever they want to say. But no, you guys should have lost the game. You got lucky. That's what I'm going to stick with.
So here we got 2 teams. We got 2 teams that are on the road and are underdogs. Kansas City, we talked about. They scored 2 touchdowns in Week 18, 2 in the wild card, 1 in the division. So they're actually going down. Same thing with San Francisco. They scored 3 touchdowns in Week 18, only 2 in the wild card, and only 1 in the division. So they're scoring less touchdowns every week. Here's the Rams' last 4 games: 3, 4, 3, 3. That's an offense that's humming. It's consistent. If that's the Super Bowl, you should probably bet the over now.
Yeah, bet the over now. Yep, it's going to be a good game. Obviously, Cooper Kupp, he's up there for a lot of, categories, and he's putting up numbers. And then you've seen kind of the reemergence of OBJ, who's playing extremely well. He's in the groove, and
he's not having to carry the team. He's another weapon without a doubt.
That's for sure. Yeah.
What does Blackhawk West think?
Well, so I don't know how, because I went back and I watched the show. I didn't give an official pick on the Rams and Tampa last week, but in any case,
did I say that you did?
Well, no, I just somehow I just didn't. I don't know that I talked about it. We moved on to other things. We were cashing tickets, and so it is what it is. But I agree with John that Green Bay lost that game, and I'm very angry with Green Bay. The Green Bay went down the field and scored a touchdown real early, and I jumped on over 20.5 for Green Bay. That was a steal. I mean, not only did I jump on it, I mean, I did the kind of thing I would never advise my members to do. And we know where that went with the 20.5. San Francisco had no business even flying coach into Green Bay that particular week. They should never beat Dallas. San Francisco has gone up against 2 teams that allowed them to even be there. I mean, I'm sorry, and they're in the NFC Championship game, and every year there seems to be a team. A couple years ago, Jacksonville played New England in an NFC championship game. Like, so every year there's a team that kind of gets there. There was never a point this season where we would have had an honest conversation about San Francisco being one of the top 2 teams in the NFC or in the league. So the 3.5 points in this game, if you were to just put the roster side by side, before you even go to statistics, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, then you go to defense. Then, I mean, you just line by line by line by line. There is no logical argument that would call San Francisco a team that even has a chance in this game. And then I know that when you dig up the data and you see what San Francisco has done in the last 6 matchups against the Rams, they've owned them. But that, to me, even makes it worse because Sean McVay's been there for all of those matchups. So the -3.5 is a gift. It just unit management and bankroll management and all of those things. But this is the biggest gift we've been given of this entire NFL or college or CFL football season is Rams -3. That's where I see it. Rams by 10.
I feel that. I feel the same way. I was going to say double digits.
So you like the Rams, huh?
Yeah. So we're going to keep beating. We're going to keep beating down San Francisco. Man, San Fran.
I'm not focused on the 3.5. I'm looking at alternate lines at how much is smart to lay. 6.5 feels right. Do I go to 9.5? Like I'm looking at how much plus money I could take here because of just. I don't even know why these numbers are what they are in a Final Four matchup.
Yeah, but I could have swore that you were going to cash that 19.5 ticket for Cincinnati as well. You know, when you have those tickets in your hand, they look good, don't they? And when you're watching the game, they look good, and then all of a sudden, they don't look good anymore.
You had
it's
to go
amazing
there.
how that works. Yeah,
you had to go there.
Well, no, I mean, so I really do. I like both the favorite team totals over. I really do. I think that they're going to score some points. I like it, even though it's it's LA. It's just going to be gorgeous, right? It's going to be 65 degrees or something. So, what's your weather?
It'll be 60 to 65 here in Vegas. Similar. I think.
What about you?
West will be a little colder.
Well, I think. It's 13.
But that storm is moving past.
No, I mean it probably is about 13 degrees, but for the game we're looking at somewhere between in the teens to 30s. Oof. But what's fun to mention here though, and we've never seen this happen, we realistically could be looking at a conference championship, and we're probably looking at it, conference championship, and then the Super Bowl 2 weeks later in the same exact stadium, and the Chiefs could be in a opposing home field advantage in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. I mean, that is wildly historic.
Last year was the first year that it ever happened.
See you at SoFi, and it's 2 weeks in a row.
No doubt. All right, let's see. Where are we at? We should probably check in on our live action and see. So we did very well with St. Louis. We did very well with Loyola Chicago. I don't think it's halftime yet, but it's getting there. They're up to 40 points. It was 58. So, yeah, it was just, it was an easy winner, John. Good job there. And again, don't be afraid Saturday at the Stratosphere to text me over any of your, I know you said you don't like Saturday college, or what did you say? Something like that?
Yeah, it's just there's so many games, and I don't know. I think it stems from my college football woes that I had with so much action on the board that it goes to the same kind of thinking. There's just so much that I can't concentrate on the board. For me, it's a little bit better when I can see the games and the lines.
In college,
there's 100 games on. Yeah.
Well, the board flips. You can't see all the games at once. You got to wait for the board sometimes to flip 3 times to see your games.
Yeah, and the odds makers know that, and these games are tight, and there's always great games. And I get it. people love Saturdays and they want to bet, but it just always feels that Saturdays never go well for me for whatever strange reason. So
time is 8:30 Vegas time. So that's, I'll be up at that time. So I'll text you
Oh,
over
yeah.
if anything
Oh,
jumps
yeah, I'll
out.
text.
Yeah.
I got you. Oh, yeah, I'll be up. We'll definitely get some action in. It might not be early morning, but we'll definitely get some action in afternoon and later in the night.
Would
sure.
you be betting the Pegasus this weekend, Blackhawk West?
So I'm not as far into the card as you are, but I mean I'll be watching them. I'll have it on, and it just depends on how I'm reading the card. If I'm having a terrible day, I'm probably not going to throw more money at the Pegasus just because it's a name ranked race.
Well, and
Um,
when I talk about the Pegasus, I'm looking at the card. I'm looking at those specifically those 6 races that I mentioned. But I will be down there checking it out because, again, what I like to do is get a feel for that track. There's nothing worse than when you bet the first race is a grass race and the second race is a turf race, and you do great on the first race, and then you misread the grass race because it's totally different surface, and you got European invaders, all kinds of things happening. But your pick 4s are already in. And that's why I told you, your buddy on the Discord page hits 4s and 5, pick 4s and pick 5s and stuff.
he just sent me a message over. He's at the fairgrounds. He's actually at the fairgrounds, and he hit a $700 pick 4.
Yeah, I don't even put him out there. I've had a couple where if I bet him, it would have hit, but again, you never know. If I bang it out superfecta early in the day, anything in that final pick 4 is up for grabs, But yeah, I'm excited about the quality of the horse races because again, $5 million over 6 races is means these horses probably live better lives than most of the humans in this country. That's my statement of the week. All right, before we let you go, let's talk to Blackhawk West about anything else that he's talking about looking at this weekend. Are there any NHL things that that are coming up? Anything else you're talking about?
Well, the NHL's warming up. I mean, you see it tonight. I mean, we're cashing pretty quickly. So the NHL is starting to become very clear to us. I'm looking at college basketball, although I'm still sending John my picks to make sure that I'm not doing anything foolish. But we're on the horses now. We're on the NHL, and very quickly we're going to switch to all NHL with some NC2A basketball. So. It's been a great week in the market. Those on Chicago Options Trader. It's odd because 3 out of the last 4 days were red, but we cash. We cash on some Apple earnings and Microsoft earnings, and
again, we talk about that all the time. It's that entry point and that exit point.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been a great week. So, Chicago Options Trader, use the promo code 151 Sports to join. You'll get some free access to Monday through Friday stuff, and that's how we're living.
So if you're still here, it's just shy at 9:00 New York City. So again, I always tell people, don't worry about where you are. What time is it in this Big Apple? If it's almost 9:00 in the Big Apple, you got to hang around. They got a couple guests on the loudmouths. Brandon Lloyd, I think everybody knows that name. He's a former NFL player that's going to be on, and also Aaron Schatz, who's an Associated Press MVP voter and an ESPN Plus NFL analyst. And it's funny because those guys that do that for a living, we think we grind, but I pretty much shut down after the Super Bowl, and I'm hanging around waiting for college. I mean, I'm going to do my own stuff. But I'm not going to really start working hard until Canadian football comes around. I worked my butt off last year to get that Canadian football for year 2. Year 2 is when it really kicks in because we're going to start seeing stuff Blackhawks. So we had trends, West, that lasted the entire short season. I'm telling you, some of those will wrap around and continue into the new year. That's how it works. You just got to find them, and you can't find them if you don't know where to find them, and that's why you find them at easysportsdata.com. John.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we're going to be having lunch together Saturday, so I know what you're doing Saturday. What else you got for the weekend?
Yeah, we're gonna. I envision some lunch, a few cocktails, few beers. College basketball. We're gonna stick with that. I'm gonna put in some exacta races. I see some ponies in my future that Saturday. Got to do that, and then we're gonna sprinkle maybe a little bit of NBA, a little NHL moving forward. But right now, it's my pure focus is going to be college basketball. We're cruising right now into the heart of the schedule. It's going to be tournament time, and then I'm going to roll right back over into MLB. So it's looking good for me. I'm excited about what's coming up.
Yeah, well, we're excited to see you again too. Yeah, I mean, when you give us a 58.5 under and they score 40, you feel pretty good.
That's yeah.
All right. Again, hang around for the Loudmouths. This is Sports Betting Weekly. Been listening and watching on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, on the Sports Betting Channel, and at sportsbettingweeklylive.com. And always be cashing.